Okay, so what you have so far is a pretty basic rig that allows you to rotate the chest and the spine. Now what we're going to do is make this a bit more advanced. We're going to give this character the ability to swing on its hips. Now in order to do this, we're going to use the same idea that we did when we built the head and neck rig. Remember, on the neck touch bone, we had given it a parent. So now what we're going to do is give the spine dot touch bone its own parent. So the first thing that I want you to do is go ahead and just zoom in a bit and click on the m.spine.p, which is the parent of the m.spine.c. Now here, go to its bone constraints. So what we're going to do is delete this copy transforms and simply add it to the parent of the spine.touch. This will give us the ability to swing the hips naturally. So go ahead and X this out. Now go ahead and switch to edit mode and click on the tail of this bone. And here we're going to basically make some room for this new bone. So go ahead and click on this green arrow, move it to the right a bit. Click on this green arrow, move this to the right a bit. Now click here on any joint, press the E key, press the Y key, and move this bone right here in the middle. Now you're going to have to zoom in for this. This can get a bit confusing, so make sure that you click on the right bone over here, right? This is the bone that we have just added. Now go to the bone tab, make sure that the deform is off, and here this is going to be the parent of the spine.touch. So here we're just going to call this m.spine.touch.p and enter. Now here, go ahead and click on the spine.touch, press the shift key down, and make sure you click on the right bone. It needs to be the m.spine.touch.p. Now just do Control P and now do keep offset. So now here, if you switch to pose mode, zoom out a bit, if you click on the spine.touch and press the R key, it will work just like it was before. Okay. Now, when you click on the chest.touch and press the R key, of course, it's not going to rotate the m.spine. So here, we're going to now tell this m.spine.touch.p to take into account the rotation of the chest.touch.tracker, which we had already done on the m.spine.p. So having the chest touch tracker selected, press the shift key down, and now go ahead and click on the spine.touch.p, do shift Control C and do copy transforms. Now go ahead and go to the bone constraints. Remember, this is the last bone we selected. This is why we're seeing its property over here. Now go ahead and do the same thing, just give it, we just want half its value. So now when you click on the chest.touch and press the R key, you'll see that it just does the same thing. Here again, it's simply rotating the m.spine.c, right? The reason for this is because now when you rotate the chest.touch, it's basically rotating the spine.touch.p with half its value. And because this bone is the parent now of the spine.touch, it still works the same way. Okay, and over here, when you click on the spine.touch, it works just like before, right? But now it's just a separate concept. So go ahead and press the A key and do Alt R to reset the rotation. Now, in order to swing the hips, we have to create a hip touch bone with its own tracker. So go ahead and switch to edit mode, click on any joint, press the E key, and over here just make sure that you make it a little longer than these two bones. The reason we're doing this, making it a little longer, is because we're going to use this concept a bit later when we make this rig a lot more advanced than it is right now. So go ahead and press the Y key to sever all the parent-child relationships. Go to the bone tab and uncheck the deform. And over here, we're going to call this hip touch and enter. Now here we need to give it its own tracker bone. So click on a joint. Now you might want to do shift middle mouse button to pan over here. Press the E key, press the Y key, and here we're just going to put this bone right around here. Okay, now go ahead and click on the body of this bone, press the Y key to sever all the parent-child relationships, and here we're going to call this M dot hip dot touch dot tracker and enter. Now having this bone selected, press the shift key down, click on the hip dot touch, do Control P, and here you're going to do keep offset. Now go ahead and switch to pose mode. Click on this bone, press the R key. So here you can see that when we rotate the hip dot touch, it's of course is going to rotate its tracker because it's the child. Now in order to swing the hips, what we need to do is simply take this bone and make it the child of this bone, right? Because this bone is the parent of this bone. So if this bone rotates, it of course is going to rotate the hips, right? So here we're going to switch to edit mode, click on this bone, press the shift key down, click on the hip dot touch, do Control P, and now do keep offset. So now when you switch to pose mode, click over here. When you press the R key, the hips will start to swing. Now make sure you understand how this is working. All we're really doing is really dragging this bone with us, right? Because it happens to be the parent of this bone, it's being forced to swing the hips. That's how this is working. Now notice that the spine isn't rotating, so this is why we created the spine apparent. So what we need to do is first make sure visually that where the spine.touch.p is, go to its bone constraints. Now go ahead over here. What we're going to do is basically click on the hip.touch tracker bone, press the shift key down, and click on the spine.touch.p, and do shift control C and do copy transforms. Over here, of course, we have to move this up because here we're just using half the values, right? So go ahead and move this up, and now you will notice that when we click on the hip.touch over here and press the R key, it's going to rotate the spine, right? So now if you zoom out, look at this, you can see that it gives us a natural hip swing. Okay, so this should make sense to you as to how this is working. Again, you just spend some time to understand how this module is being put together. Now over here, when we built the head and neck rig, we actually tied everything together with a socket belt. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. So go ahead and switch to edit mode. Over here, click on a joint, press the E key, press the Y key, and here we're just going to put this bone like this. Click on the body of this bone, and over here press the Y key to sever all the connections. Go to the bone tab, remove the deform, and here we actually want this to be a touch bone too. So here we're just going to call this hip dot touch dot root and enter. Okay, so you'll see later how we're going to use this when we make this module a lot more advanced than it is right now. Now here for the parent, you want to make sure that the parent is the root bone itself. Okay, now what we need to do is tie this module, these bones, to this hip touch root bone. So go ahead and click on the hip.touch. You can see that it has no parent. So press the shift key down and click on the hip.touch.root. Here we're going to do Control P and do keep offset. Now if we take a look at the chest.touch, it has no parent. Press the shift key down, click on the hip.touch, do Control P, do keep offset. Now here this might get a bit tricky. What you're looking for is the m.spine.touch.p, which we added. This of course has no parent. So we're going to press the shift key down and click on the hip.touch root, do Control P, and now do keep offset. So now when you switch to pose mode and just click on the hip.touch, you will notice that we can press the G key to move the entire character, or press the R key 2 times to rotate the entire character. Okay, so all of this should now make sense. Here we can swing the character, we can basically rotate on its spine, meaning that if you press the 1 key to go to the front view, you can give it like this belly dancer movement over here. And here, when we click on the chest dot, we can press the R key to basically rotate the chest. Okay, so that's how this works. Now, the next thing that we need to do is actually switch to edit mode. And here, what you want to do is now take the time to make sure that the deform is unchecked on all these bones. So here, I'm just going to click on each bone over here, make sure that the deform is unchecked, right? Now over here, we're going to click on these individual bones. So deform is unchecked for all of them. Okay, for this one, I have to make sure that it's unchecked. So this is, as you can see, it's very easy to miss this. Okay, let's go ahead and click on this one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, now what I want you to do is go ahead and switch to the data tab and make sure that the axis is enabled. And this is going to become really important because we're going to be adding bone shapes. Now in this case, you can see that if we rotate, if we look, that the axis is pointing to the left. Okay, now we already know that when we are dealing with bone shape, right, we really want these to be aligned correctly. So the Z really should be pointing in this direction. So all we have to do is take a look at this bone roll. You can see that it's 180. Just do Alt R to reset the bone roll. The reason we're doing this is because you can see that when you click on these bones, the axis is pointing to the right and the Z is pointing front, right? So when we add bone shapes, these axes need to match. It just makes it easier to work with bone shapes. Go ahead and click on this one, do Alt R to reset, Alt R to reset. Now on this bone here, we're just going to keep the Z up. This is going to be aligned to the axis of the armature itself, basically the roll space or pose space. You can imagine it this way. Okay, so that's done over here. So let's go ahead and now switch this to pose mode over here. In here, let's go ahead under File, do Save As, and here I'm going to save this as Rigging Lesson 03 and .blend. Okay, so what we're going to do now is simply start to add the bone shapes. So go ahead and zoom in and make sure you select the hip.touch.root bone. Now here you're going to do Shift S and do cursor to selected. Now here what we want to do is actually add an empty. So if you do Shift A, you're not going to be able to add this empty in pose mode. You actually have to switch to object mode, do Shift A and then add an empty, just do plain axis. Now go to its object tab and make sure that the X-ray is enabled, and now press the M key and make sure that you put it on this layer over here. Okay, now go ahead and press the Shift key down and turn this layer on so you can see this. Now what you want to do is first name this new empty, type in w dot hip dot touch dot root, enter. Now we're going to go ahead and click on the hip.touch. Of course, we have to switch to pose mode to do this. Now go ahead and go to the bone tab, and over here, custom shapes, just go ahead and find that, which is hip.touch.root. Okay, so this establishes the bone shape for this bone. Now here, if you do the middle mouse button, press the G key, you should be able to move this. Now here, just go ahead and make sure that only this layer is on so it doesn't get confusing. Now here, what we're going to do is add the bone shape to the chest.touch. Now this is going to get a bit tricky to understand because here the bone is pointing in a different direction and we want the bone shape to appear over here. So what I want you to do is make sure you do Shift S and do cursor to selected. Do Shift A, and over here we're just going to add a circle like before. Go to the Object tab, make sure that the X-ray is on. Go and do the middle mouse button to rotate. Click on the chest.touch, press the Shift key down, click on this bone. Here you're going to do Shift Control C to copy transforms. Go ahead and click on the circle, do Control A, do Visual Transform. Over here we're going to go to the constraints and basically turn this off to make sure that it works. Go ahead and just X this out. Now over here you need to make sure that you switch to local. Okay, now over here we're going to call this w.chest.touch and enter. Now go ahead and click on the chest.touch, go to the bone tab, and over here we're going to make sure that we select the w.chest.touch bone. Now over here go ahead and click on the circle, press the S key to scale it down over here. Okay, now press the 3 key. Now here you can see that this object is simply aligned to the bone itself. Okay, notice where the y-axis is pointing. So here I'm going to press the tab key to go into edit mode first, and press the R key and press the control key down and rotate this by 90 degrees. Okay, now press the tab key to go into object mode. Now what we want is this bone shape to appear on the m.chest.lower.c. So here we're going to do the middle mouse button and make sure we click on this bone, and over here just type in m.chest.lower.c. So it's going to appear over here. Now press the 3 key to go to the right view. Now what I want you to notice is that go ahead and click on the object, press the tab key to go into edit mode, and press the G key. So if we move this up here along this direction, you can see that this bone shape is going to move up. Okay, now what we're going to do is press the tab key to go into object mode. Now this is important because in object mode what we want to do is simply move this object where the bone shape is. So this is why you need to pay attention to where this y-axis is pointing. So when you rotate, you don't want to rotate it this way, right? Because the y-axis is pointing down. You want to rotate it in the same direction where you know that the y-axis is going to be pointing for this bone. So just press the G key and just place it over here. Of course, press the R key to just match the rotation. Just do the middle mouse button to see what's going on. Now here we're going to press the tab key to go into edit mode, press the G key, and just move this bone shape kind of like over here. Now again you can press the tab key to go into object mode, press the G key, and just align it over here, right over here. Now I'm going to go ahead and just click on this blue arrow and just move it over here, press the tab key. And actually, I think I'm going to press the S key to scale this out a bit. Press the tab key to go into object mode. Press the S key to scale this down a bit. Okay, over here. Press the 3 key. Here I'm going to press the G key and just align it a bit nicer over here. And that's all. I'm going to press the S key to scale this out a bit. Press the 1 key to make sure that you're satisfied. Now here I'm going to make this a bit bigger. So I can press the tab key to go into edit mode, press the S key to scale this out a little bit more. Now finally just press the M key and just throw it on this layer. So now when you click this over here, press the R key, this will rotate. Okay, now here just press the M key and put this on this first layer. Okay, and that's it. Now when you go to the data tab and only click on this, you should have this bone shape over here. Go ahead and press the shift key down and turn this back on. And here we're just going to do a file. Here we're going to do a save as, and let's save this as a rigging lesson 030.blend. So I'll see you in the next lesson. Thank you.